How are snowy egrets connected to McElhenney Tabasco pepper sauce? Well, it's certainly not part of a delicious recipe. The egrets aren't really connected to the sauce, but there is a connection between them and Edward Avery McElhenney, the son of the inventor of Tabasco. McElhenney was integral in bringing the birds back from the brink of extinction. During the late 1800s, millions of herons and egrets were killed each year, slaughtered for their breeding plumes, which were used in the women's fashion industry. Hats mostly. It was all the rage. According to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, snowy egrets were among the most sought-after birds, mostly due to their delicate, recurved plumes, as seen here. The Cornell Lab reports, quote, in 1886, plumes were valued at an astounding $32 per ounce, twice the contemporary price of gold. Plundering for the plumes began about 1880, peaked in 1903, and continued until 1910, when outraged citizens forced the passage of laws that reduced the slaughter, unquote. Now, I knew that the birds were hunted nearly to extinction, and that the birds' remarkable comeback had been due to conservation efforts. However, the fact that Edward Avery McElhenney was one of those conservationists was something unknown to me. That is until I watched a video by The History Guy, a YouTube channel the host of which specializes in, well, history. He created a video about McElhenney and his conservation efforts. It's a great video, and I'll put a link to it in the description. As well as being a businessman, McElhenney was a conservationist, explorer, and adventurer. After leaving college, he set out on an exploration adventure as a ship's ornithologist, but upon returning to Louisiana, noticed the egret population had declined. Among other efforts, McElhenney used the land he owned to make a refuge for snowy egrets and other endangered birds. He spearheaded many conservation efforts and, in 1911, donated 70,000 acres of land to the state of Louisiana for wildlife refuge purposes and convinced others to donate land as well. The snowy egret measures about 2 feet in length and stands about 2 feet tall as well. Adults are all white with black bills, black legs, yellow feet, and they have patches of thick yellow skin at the base of their bills. The Cornell Lab reports that adults have greenish yellow feet for most of the year, but at the height of the breeding season, their feet take on a much richer orange-yellow hue. Also, the bare skin on their face changes from yellow to reddish. During the breeding season, snowy egrets have plumes growing off of their backs, breasts, and heads, as seen here. Here's a range map for snowy egrets courtesy of the National Audubon Society, used with permission. Note how they have permanent ranges along the coasts of the United States and Mexico. During the breeding season, their range extends inland quite a bit in various locations. Also note that in winter, you're more likely to find them in their permanent coastal ranges, as well as down in Mexico. Snowy egrets inhabit lake shores, ponds, marshes, swamps, etc. Snowy egrets eat many creatures associated with water, such as small fish, frogs, worms, snails, insects, and crustaceans, such as crawfish, as seen here. They will also capture and eat small rodents when the opportunity arises. They hunt in a variety of ways, including remaining still, stalking, and using their feet to stir up aquatic creatures. Snowy egrets nest in colonies, typically on thick vegetation in isolated places such as swamps, marshes, barrier islands, etc. They often change location from year to year, according to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. The nest is usually in the top of the outer branches of a woody vine, shrub, or tree. Females lay 2 to 6 eggs, which are incubated by both mother and father for 24 to 25 days, according to the Cornell Lab. Young fledge after about 3 weeks. Snowy egrets are protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which prohibits their killing, capturing, or transport. The Cornell Lab reports that the oldest snowy egret on record was at least 17 years, 7 months old. It was banded in Colorado in 1970 and found in Mexico in 1988.